Aw, freak out! Cue the music, guys! No? No, we can't afford that song? No? Oh, I might get sued now. Oh, okay, well that sucks. Welcome to Beyond the Screen. I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 celebrity talk show freakouts. Number 10. Mike Tyson. It's hard to pick just one Mike Tyson meltdown, so let's talk about all of them. He got his start in the world of professional boxing in the early 80s, but as the years went by, more and more controversies came to light. This is probably why he has such a troubled history with interviewers. In the mid-90s, he was speaking with a news anchor for Channel 5 News when he became annoyed at the line of questioning, suggesting that his recent 6-month hiatus may threaten his ability to box. Mike said, "F you," and a few other things that I'm not allowed to quote. But that wasn't even close to the level of fury that this dude is capable of. During a press tour for his latest bout in the early 2000s, he was wrapping up an interview when he lashed out at a fan in the crowd and started hurling insults at him left and right, calling them the British word for cancer sticks. The clip became viral overnight and placed his career even further into jeopardy than it already was. But he finally drove that last nail into the coffin on CP24's Breakfast Television after somehow maintaining enough relevance to get a one-man show. Mike was sitting down with host Nathan Downer to promote the show when the interview took a hard left and went from "So what's this thing about?" to "So should you even be allowed on stage, you gross man?" It's not exactly what the interviewer said, but apparently that is exactly what Mike heard. He stopped answering the questions honestly and instead started responding with sarcastic insults and more F words and several threats towards the anchor. Seriously, whoever keeps letting that guy on camera really needs to stop. Number 9. Tom Cruise. Matt Lauer's not just a terrible dude who turned out to be creepy, he was once a popular talk show host in the early 2000s. During an interview with Tom Cruise in 2005, the topic of his scientific beliefs came up that quickly sent him into a rant about psychiatry. Somehow this topic got onto Ritalin and pseudosciences, and Tom started yelling at Matt about knowing more than him, like he had some kind of inside information that he was a secret therapist or something. The interview came at the height of Tom's very public descent into chaotic badness, becoming very famous for his outlandish beliefs and his wish to push them onto other people. The highlight of the interview came when Cruise was asked about his previous criticisms of Brooke Shields taking anti-sad time pills, to which he responded to calling Matt a glib. I don't know what that means, but look it up. This is only one of several interviews from 2005 that we could discuss today, but something tells me it won't be the last time that Tom appears on this list. Wink wink, nudge nudge, he's gonna be back. Number 8. Cardi B. In 2017, rapper Cardi B and model Asia Davies appeared on an episode of VH1's Love and Hip Hop talk show. Things started getting heated very quickly when the topic of Asia's ex-boyfriend Swift came up. According to Davies, she was convinced that Cardi and Swift were intimate together while she was still dating Swift. Cardi responded to the accusations by throwing her stiletto at Asia's face. She then jumped up and began making her way towards the model, but was stopped by 2 large security guards. Good thing too, considering on the other side of the room, Asia had been doing the exact same thing and was also being held back. An all-out brawl almost took place, but the altercation ended up being the pair yelling at each other across the room, with Cardi's main grievance being the judgment placed upon her by Davies for being an exotic dancer before her time as a music artist. While Davies claimed that wasn't the case, it was very clear from both their verbal and physical language that someone was holding something back. Number 7. Quentin Tarantino. While doing press for his latest masterpiece Django Unchained in 2013, critically acclaimed director Quentin Tarantino was involved in a very confrontational interview with Channel 4 news anchor Krishnan Guru Murthy. The interview was intended to be a bit of press for the project, but it quickly turned into a small profile piece on Quentin, with Krishnan asking him about several topics not related to the movie. He asked about Quentin's opinion on the backlash the project seemed to be receiving, before moving on to a broader subject on why he seems to enjoy putting so many graphic scenes in his movies. This is the moment that he snaps. Not only has he answered that question several times in the past, it literally had nothing to do with what he was brought on the show to discuss. Refusing to answer the question, Tarantino tells Krishnan that he is shutting his butt down. He had been nothing but accommodating up until that point, reacting fairly well to some of the more sensitive questions that he was asking, but he went too far and the director let this man have it. This wasn't the only time that Krishnan has caused a celebrity to lose their cool. A few years ago, he was interviewing Robert Downey Jr. about Age of Ultron when he once again went off script and asked him about his dark past rather than the project that he was promoting. This made Robert quickly stand up and thank him, remove his mic, and just walk away. Seriously, this dude needs to stop being put on camera. Number 6. Kanye West. Kanye was slowly going mad in the eyes of the public way back in 2010. As the years went by, he's made more and more TV appearances, but it wasn't until 2018 where his political beliefs got him heated on Jimmy Kimmel. When Jimmy asked Kanye how he felt about the response to his decree that he was all for President at the time Donald Trump, which was largely criticized, he defended his statements by claiming that he did not have to conform to some united mindset and that he was a little bit upset at the backlash, but that a part of him kind of enjoyed the hate. He then suggested the world was in a simulation, claiming that the world is just filled with unpaid actors. The over 20-minute interview was filled with metaphors, the concept of love, and a comparison to the Son of God. This interview was only a short time after his anti-Semitic tweets were circulating the internet. Ye even makes a joke about the anxiety of asking his publicist to appear on the show. He was fairly calm in his delivery of his opinions, but he made sure his opinions were known. Number 5. Steve-O. Steve was once a world-famous stuntman whose journey to sobriety is truly inspirational. Unfortunately, in his early years of fame, Steve was known for having a sweet tooth for illegal substances. This made him an excellent guest on late-night talk shows. Host of On Too Late, Adam Carolla, found out the hard way that you should never encourage Steve to do anything before he gets on camera. During one late-night appearance in the mid-2000s, the host is definitely on a few things. The host suggested that he had a few adult beverages in preparation for a game, but his speech is slurred beyond comprehension other than the B word being hurled at the audience over and over again. You know, the one that rhymes with snitch. He then begins to tell the host that he loves him, but he will end his life right there, and then he sloppily hugs Adam before trying to flip his chair with him inside of it. His issue with substances was very well documented throughout the years, but this late night appearance will forever live rent-free in my skull. Thankfully, as I mentioned, he won this battle and he's currently 15 years sober now, spending most of his time running a podcast with Adam. I have so much respect for this guy. He went from to, okay, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, Kombucha Kings. Number 4. Bobcat Goldthwait. Allow me to start this entry with an impression of Bobcat Goldthwait smelling something he likes. Thank you. Bobcat may not be much of an actor these days, but in the 80s and the 90s, he was dominating the film and comedy scene. His zany brand of over-the-top, high-energy performance was well received by any and all who saw him. I can still hear his voice echoing in my skull whenever I think of Police Academy. In 1994, comedian Arsenio Hall invited his longtime buddy Bobcat onto his talk show, which unfortunately was in its final days on air. When Bobcat heard the cancellation, he decided to send a message to the big brains that made the decision. He spray paints the word Paramount on the wall behind him, throws furniture around, breaks TV screens, all while Arsenio just kinda sits back and laughs. When they returned from commercial, the set was in ruins. Despite that though, Arsenio joked, saying, the worst part is I have to pretend like I'm mad at him. Joke's on him, that wasn't the only talk show meltdown that he's partaken in. A few years after this, Bobcat set a chair on fire on Jay Leno's show. For no reason, just for fun. Like he was standing there just going, oh, fire, yeah. Man, that guy was unhinged. He was fined over $3,000 and made to replace the chair. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed, he hasn't been asked to appear on any talk shows ever again. Number 3, Tom Cruise. Again. I told you he'd be back. Returning for another round on our list, you don't think we'd forget about Oprah, did you? Following the announcement that he got engaged to Katie Holmes in the early 2000s, Tom appeared on an episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show that has gone down in history as one of the most chaotic TV interviews of all time. From the moment he steps on the stage, things just begin to go horribly wrong. He throws his arms up in the air, he rubs Oprah's shoulders like she's got a stain that he just won't come out. Tom jumped on her couch, he grabbed her hands over and over, she couldn't even get the questions that she had out. Eventually Oprah was like, whatever, just bring Katie out, and the cameras followed Tom as he ran around the studio trying to find her like he was a nature guy running through a jungle with his camera crew behind him. The moment cemented Tom as a man with many hidden personalities. While it has not affected his work as an actor per se, ever since that day whenever he's brought in for press or any kind of interview, all entrances and exits must be locked at all times. Number 2, Crispin Glover. Crispin may not be very active in the Hollywood mainstream these days, but he has most certainly been in some of your top 10 favorite flicks. Being featured in movies like Charlie's Angels and Back to the Future, Crispin was always considered to be an eccentric man both on and off camera. In 1987, he made one of the most notorious appearances in late-night television history. He was a guest on The Late Night Show with David Letterman and was supposed to promote a new indie flick called River's Edge. Instead, he delivered one of the most bizarre interviews of all time without any clear reason why. Many have speculated over the years that this was a staged bit, but nobody has ever actually confirmed that story. From the moment Crispin is brought on set, he seems to be distressed. He wore strange clothes, including black platform shoes, and instead of answering questions about the project, he decided to rant about his portrayal by the media, literally pulling out press clips and quoting them on the air. He claimed people thought that he was weak, and then challenged David to an arm wrestling match before getting out of his chair and delivering a high kick into David's direction. Getting just within inches of his face, David giggled and cut the interview short. Whether it was staged or not, Crispin's infamous interview will go down in history as one of the strangest of all time. And at number 1, of course, it's Charlie Sheen. Charlie rose to fame in the early 1980s after starring in a slew of cult classic flicks like Red Dawn, The Boys Next Door, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off in a brief but memorable cameo. He fell into the mainstream in 2003 when he began playing the character Charlie Harper in the hit sitcom 2.5 Men. So good that even just mentioning it gets the theme song stuck in your head. However, in 2009 he was arrested for attempting to harm his wife Brooke Mueller on several occasions. At the time of his arrest, both parties had been indulging in adult beverages, with Sheen becoming enraged beyond control. Following this, a restraining order was placed prohibiting Sheen from being within 100 feet of both Brooke and their kids. Despite all the controversy, Charlie was later seen doing press for an upcoming movie on the Today Show, when the interviewer asked Charlie what was behind his sudden behavior, claiming that he was being perceived as an angry and erratic man. But Sheen responded with, no, it's my passion, before launching into a no snow-fueled tirade. Charlie's interview was defensive to say the least, with his energy just being weird and aggressive the entire time. Ever since then, Charlie has maintained a strange air of arrogance towards himself, and he still seems to think that he's the king of TV and quote, winning, when in reality this is probably the first time you've heard about him in a while. Those are the celebrities that freaked out on live TV. Do you want to see a part 2? Leave a like on this video and comment below. Please keep coming back to the channel every day for more celebrity content. Thanks for stopping me on the screen, and we'll see you next time.